Today, we head south to join Camille as she takes us on a journey through New Orleans, Louisiana, known for its music, food, heart, and rich history.
Hey there, I'm Camille Weisoon, the K-12 Implementation Specialist for Louisiana here in New Orleans. I'm standing in the Louisiana State Museum in the Jazz exhibit, which houses some amazing things like Fats Domino's piano that was rescued during the floods of Hurricane Katrina, and also Louis Armstrong's first cornet. After getting in a little trouble, Louis was sent to the Colored Waifs Home for Children, where he picked up this first instrument that I can show you in a minute. It was his first cornet that he ever played. Louis Armstrong, or Satchmo as he's called here in NOLA, spanned his career over 5 decades and is arguably one of the most influential culture bearers in music history. His influence is seen all over our city and is still an important part of the birthplace of jazz, New Orleans. Check out my personal favorite song, Do You Know What It Means to Miss New Orleans, by Louis Armstrong, or of course everyone's favorite, What a Wonderful World.
See skies of blue, clouds of white, bright blessed days.
In New Orleans at Louis Armstrong Park at the backside of the French Quarter at a really special place called Congo Square. When Louisiana was under French rule in the early 1700s, the French instituted the Code Noir, which was the Black Code, which is what it translates to, which defined conditions of enslavement in French colonies in America. While Code Noir was extremely oppressive, it also gave way to a day of rest for enslaved people in New Orleans on Sundays. This allowed for the gathering of enslaved people, facilitating community, dancing, eating, singing, and even buying and selling of goods. In this very spot, there's no place in America like Congo Square. As it is said that as many as 600 free people of color and enslaved people gathered here every Sunday for decades and centuries, really, at this point. By the late 1800s, historians have said that Creoles and people of color began playing brass instruments in this spot in the square, which really influenced generations of musicians for decades. Someone once said, every strand of American music comes directly from Congo Square, and I cannot help but agree. This very spot in the 1960s, that a 6-year-old little girl named Ruby Bridges walked into the school building that was previously reserved for all white students. The desegregation of New Orleans, along with the rest of the Deep South, was met with extreme opposition, but was pushed along by civil rights activists all over the country. We know that many children of color, including Ruby, were forced to attend schools that were often very far from their homes. They had to walk miles and miles each day, sometimes passing all white schools that they were not able to attend because of the color of their skin or their background. When Ruby walked into this school that day, she was escorted by 2 U.S. Marshals who have said that she held her head up high. She didn't shed one tear despite only being as small as a kindergartner. She also said that the crowd outside of the school, so she said this later on, was so large that she actually thought that it was Mardi Gras Day. Since that day, we know that she's gone on to write a book and has been recognized by many as a hero against racism and hate. And here in New Orleans, in Treme, in the Treme neighborhood, in front of Dooky Chase, a New Orleans favorite restaurant. Dookie Chase first opened in the 1930s as a sandwich shop and a place to buy lottery tickets. But over the years, it transformed into a meeting place for local musicians, entrepreneurs, and civil rights leaders, including Dr. King himself. The reason for this is really because of one really special family and one lady that really took it as far as it is today. This particular restaurant is the pride of the queen of Creole cuisine herself, Miss Leah Chase, who turned this sandwich shop into a world-renowned restaurant and a haven, really, for Black American culture, food, and art. Leah grew up in a country Louisiana town on a strawberry farm, actually. You're gonna hear a lot of music right now behind the scenes, but that's important to what we're gonna talk about right now. The Presbytère, the building I'm in now, was actually built under Spanish rule as an ecclesiastical house in the late 1700s, but it is now a museum and also an exhibit dedicated to Mardi Gras and the Mardi Gras Indian culture, which is what we'll talk about now. The Black Masking Indians, or Mardi Gras Indians as they're also known, are a group of Black culture bearers who march through the streets on recurring days throughout the year, especially Mardi Gras and Super Sunday, in elaborately beaded suits and sing chants and songs that celebrate their communities and neighborhoods. There are over 40 Mardi Gras Indian tribes in New Orleans with very specific roles for each member, like Big Chief, which is the leader, Queens, and Spy Boys, who march several blocks ahead on to look out for other tribes. The pageantry, words, and traditions, of course, the suits, are the Mardi Gras Indians' pride of their communities. They're deeply, deeply cherished traditions that they've created are in New Orleans at the heart. Check out Indian Red by the Wild Tchoupitoulas or Big Chief by Professor Longhair on wherever you listen to music to hear more sounds and stories about Mardi Gras Indians and their culture.
Stay tuned to find out where we'll head to next as we continue our journey exploring Black history in the United States.